Have you ever stopped to think that the thing that gives flavor to your breakfast could actually be shortening your days? It seems like an exaggeration, but you may be consuming the most dangerous food for an elderly person's heart without even realizing it. Bacon, sausage, salami, mortadella. These are names that are part of many people's routines. They are at the fair, at the market, in the bakery's sandwich. And the worst part? They often come with fond memories. The smell of bacon frying reminds you of Sundays with the family. The hot dog in the park brings back memories of the good times of your childhood. But have you ever wondered what it is? Really, is behind that familiar flavor? What few people know is that these foods contain substances that are invisible to the naked eye, but extremely dangerous for older people. Nitrites, nitrates, dyes, preservatives, and an absurd amount of saturated fat form a combination that your heart simply cannot digest as easily as it used to. What if I told you that eating these foods every day can silently accelerate the aging of your cardiovascular system? That's right. A simple routine habit, maintained for years, can be responsible for clogging your arteries, raising your blood pressure, and making your heart weaker. Without warning. Have you ever been through this? Have you ever felt that heaviness in your chest, unusual fatigue, or a tightness that you don't know where it comes from? Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover now may surprise you. Let's dive together into the truth behind these foods that seem harmless, but hide a real risk, especially for those over 60. And maybe, after today, you'll never look at a piece of bacon the same way again. Now take a deep breath, because what comes next could change the way you care for your diet and your heart. And if this topic resonates with you, if at some point this reflection touched you, perhaps because it reminded you of your own diet or of someone you love who has had a heart attack, then take this opportunity to leave a comment. Which of these foods is still part of your routine? Or better yet, which one do you think is the hardest to give up? Your opinion may inspire other people who are going through the same doubt. It is through this exchange that we grow together. And look, if this video has made you think twice before opening the fridge, click the like button. It's a simple gesture, but it really helps to bring this type of content to more people who need it. There are many families out there who still don't even realize the hidden risks in a simple breakfast. And if you want to continue following tips that really make a difference in health and quality of life in old age, take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel right now. That way, you won't miss any of the upcoming videos that we're preparing with great care, always based on evidence, but with light and accessible language. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people who are seeking better health, more awareness, and more longevity. Now that you understand the magnitude of the hidden risk in this common food, it's time to go deeper. Let's find out why it's so popular, how it acts silently on the body, and, most importantly, what you can do, starting today, to protect your heart without losing the pleasure of eating well. Now, I want to go even deeper into this subject because understanding what happens inside an elderly person's body when they consume this type of food is the first step towards a real transformation, not only in their habits but in the mindset that supports these habits. The truth is that the heart ages differently. It no longer responds as it used to excesses, especially when we are talking about ultra-processed foods and foods rich in saturated fat. It's not about overdoing it once in a while. It's about the daily, silent impact that accumulates over the years. Imagine an old pipe. At first, the water still flows through it fine, even with a little dirt. But over time, each residue that accumulates there begins to stick, harden, and narrow the space, until one day the flow simply stops. This is how the cardiovascular system of someone over 60 works. Any excess, any food dirt, can be the last straw for an artery to become completely blocked. And this doesn't happen with pain, warning, or alarm. It happens in the silence of everyday life, often while the person thinks everything is fine. Recent studies from Harvard University have shown that frequent consumption of processed meats, such as bacon and sausage, is directly linked to an increased risk of heart disease, especially among people over 65. And it's not hard to see why. These foods inflame the body, make it harder for the heart to work, and cause changes that don't always show up in simple tests. The body tries to adapt, but the hidden truth is that inside, it's struggling to maintain a minimum of balance. That's exactly what happened to Donna Nair. At 73 years old, she led a quiet life. She lived alone and liked to prepare her own breakfast, always with 2 slices of bread, a cup of coffee, and, of course, the traditional fried bacon. It was a routine that brought comfort, but it also hid a risk that she only discovered when she was rushed to the hospital with a silent heart attack. She never imagined that this innocent pleasure was, in fact, an accumulation of small decisions that were taking a high toll. This story could be that of any of us, or of someone we love, because often what seems small is precisely what weighs the most over time. That's why understanding the behind the scenes of this process is so important. It's not about fear, but about awareness. It's not about stopping eating with pleasure, but about making choices that don't sabotage your own health. Write in the comments, "I'm on this journey too," just so I know you're with me this far and ready to continue discovering what else might be hidden in your habits. Now, I want to show you how the most difficult danger to see is precisely the one hidden within routine, in the choices that seem too small to cause any problems. But that's where the hidden truth lies. Most of the foods that harm the heart of seniors don't arrive at the table looking like villains. They come disguised as affection, practicality, memories, a piece of bacon that seems harmless for breakfast, a hot dog at the square that has become a weekend tradition, a mortadella sandwich for dinner because it's quick, easy, and tasty. It may seem like a small thing, but it's not. Have you ever noticed how these foods are always around? The refrigerator, the bakery, the corner store, they all seem to make this kind of choice easier. And it is precisely this proximity, this constant access, that turns a simple food into a habit. And a habit, when repeated without awareness, can become a trap. Consumption does not need to be excessive to be dangerous. It just needs to be constant. A little bit each day, every day, for years. This is the kind of accumulation that doesn't warn you, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't show signs in the mirror. But it is there, behind the scenes in the body, messing with the body's balance, slowly clogging the pathways through which life circulates. The impact of this is not immediate, and perhaps that is why so many people underestimate it. But what seems harmless today may become irreversible tomorrow. And when we talk about healthy aging, we are talking about decisions. Conscious, informed, and responsible. Decisions that go unnoticed, but that build or destroy over the course of the journey. And that is why changing this pattern does not begin with a radical diet or a severe ban. It begins with a different look at what is repeated, a closer look at what has become automatic, because it is at this point, when the routine ceases to be thought about, that the real risk lies. Now I want to continue this conversation by taking you to another level of consciousness, where eating stops being just a response to hunger and becomes an active tool of protection. Comment: "This makes sense to me," if at any time you also felt that the routine was deceiving you. Now I want to take you to a crucial point in this journey, the signs, because the body speaks, and it speaks long before the collapse. The question is, are you listening? In many cases, the problem is not the absence of warnings, but the way we ignore the little alerts from the organism. The transformation that begins from the inside out is usually silent, but it leaves traces. And these traces, if ignored, can lead to serious consequences. Have you ever felt too tired to do a simple task? Have you ever had that heavy feeling in your legs at the end of the day, even though you didn't exert yourself much? or notice that your blood pressure has been fluctuating more than usual, but you thought it was just the heat, stress, or maybe age. These are common signs of cardiovascular overload, and many people treat them as normal just because they are frequent. But just because something is frequent doesn't mean it's harmless. This is where one of the biggest health pitfalls in old age lies. Feeling well does not necessarily mean that everything is in order. There is a hidden truth that few people talk about. The body adapts. It silences symptoms, camouflages discomfort, and learns to function even in conditions of imbalance. But this adaptation has a price, and the longer it drags on, the greater. The silent impact behind the scenes on your heart, your arteries, and your vital energy. That's why a listening mindset is so important. Learning to recognize these signs is not a luxury. It's a survival decision. It's the kind of choice that determines whether you'll live with autonomy and quality, or whether you'll be surprised by a condition that could have been avoided. And this doesn't depend on sophisticated tests or expensive medicine. It depends on attention, on presence, on a real connection with your own body. Now I want to delve even deeper into this reasoning, because understanding the signs is just the beginning. What you do with this information is what really transforms your life. Comment below, "I'm learning to listen to my body," if that made sense to you too. Now I want to show you that this path doesn't have to be one of sacrifice. It can be one of reconnection, rediscovery, and pleasure. Many people, upon realizing the dangers of ultra-processed foods, enter a state of alert that borders on fear. But real transformation doesn't happen out of panic. It happens when you realize that there are affordable, tasty alternatives that still truly nourish your body. The secret is in your mindset, swapping automatic for conscious without losing your lightness. We grew up hearing that healthy food was boring, that to be tasty it had to be greasy, fried, or processed. But this is a myth, and perhaps one of the most dangerous. Because this idea has distanced us from what is essential: real food, the simplicity that nourishes, the flavor that doesn't make you sick. And it is precisely in this change that liberation lies. You don't have to give up the pleasure of eating. You just have to decide that this pleasure cannot cost you your health. Instead of starting your day with fried bacon or grilled sausage, why not try a plate of boiled eggs seasoned with natural herbs? Or a light chickpea pâté with whole wheat, bread. Shredded chicken with olive oil and lemon can be a practical, delicious, and infinitely better choice for your heart. The hidden truth is that your taste buds adapt, and quickly. Within a few days, your body will begin to respond with more energy, easier digestion, and even a noticeable improvement in blood pressure. This process is not about dieting, but about making decisions. It is about taking control of your eating routine. For example, you can challenge yourself for 7 days, eliminate processed meats from your menu, test real substitutions, and observe the results. Not only in your body, but also in your disposition, mood, and sleep. The journey to health begins with small choices, and it is these choices that, made repeatedly, build what we call quality longevity. Now I want to continue showing you how to strengthen this new lifestyle without giving up the flavor or pleasure of eating well. Comment here, make conscious choices every day, if you also believe that it is possible to live longer and better with simple decisions. If you've made it this far, it's because this content made sense to you in some way. And that says a lot. We've covered important information, deep reflections, and choices that, little by little, can transform not only your health, but also your relationship with what you put on your plate every day. So, if this conversation helped you see something different, leave a comment below. I'm with you until the end. So I know you've stuck with me until now and that this message has found its place. Take advantage and leave your like, because It shows that this type of content is valuable to you and helps to bring this conversation to more people who also need to wake up. And if you want to continue on this journey of awareness, care, and transformation, subscribe to the channel, because there is much more to come, always with the same tone, direct, light, and made to truly help you. Oh, and there's a video here that complements everything we talked about today. Click and follow me there. It will be one more step on this journey towards a life with more balance, health, and presence.